So today we want to look at if statements. And but before we start, do you have any question as regards the previous classes we had? Okay, if you have any question. So today we want to look at if statement and let's discuss why you need if statement or what if statement means. Sometimes you want to do some things if some certain conditions are true. Now, let's say I have alert 10 here. If I go to the browser, it will always alert 10. But maybe I want it to alert 10, maybe if the current time is 9. Or if it's after 9, anything after 9, I want it to alert 10. Meaning that if it's before 10, if it's before 9, I don't want it to alert 10. So you want to do some things if some conditions are met. That is when you use if statements. And that's we also call it conditional statements. Do this if this is met. So the first thing is the condition needs to be met before the action is done. Let's get started. So I can say let num equals 6. So maybe I want to alert hello if the value of num is greater than 6. I want to alert hello if the value of num is greater than 6. So in that case, I need to make use of if statements. So the first thing is write if. When JavaScript sees this if, it knows that you want to write conditional statement. Next is you put a parenthesis at the front, just the way you do with functions. Then inside this parenthesis, you put the condition there, the condition you want to be met, like the condition that needs to be met, you put it here. So I want to check if num is greater than, let's say 6. If this condition is true, then do whatever is within these curly braces. If the condition is met, then do whatever is within these curly braces. So what do I want to do? I can say I want it to alert hello. So based on this explanation now, I'm asking you, will it alert hello or not? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I said based on the explanation, so I'm asking us that with this code, will it alert hello or not?
It will not.
It will not.
It will not, yeah.
It will not. That's because this condition is not. So thank you so much. Thank you. So it won't. Let's go to the browser and see. So we are not saying anything. We are not saying anything. Let's use another one. Let's check another condition. So imagine if the value of num were to be 12. Will it alert hello or not?
It will alert hello.
Good. It will alert hello. That's because this condition is true. We can see that conditional statement is simple. So let's go to the browser and see. I'll get to the browser, we see this hello there. Let's look at other comparison operator. Let me close this dialog box. So greater than is a comparison operator, use it to compare values. We also have the less than. If this condition is true, it will do whatever I say. If it's not so, it won't do it. So we have the less than. We have the less than or equal to. Let's discuss the difference between the less than or equal to and the less than. And also the difference between greater than or equal to and the greater than. So I'll come here and put 6 here. If I run this, will it alert hello?
No.
It will alert hello.
No, it won't alert hello. This condition is not 6 is not less than 6. 6 is not less, so it's not going to alert hello. But if it were to be less than or equal to, it will alert hello. That's because although 6 is not less than 6, but 6 is equal to 6. So because it's equal to, it will alert hello. If the value is also less than, it will still alert hello. So whether it's less than or equal to, it will alert hello. So the only thing that will not make it to alert hello if it's the value here. Let's say if it's greater. If it's greater, then it won't. But if it's less, it will. If it's equal to, it will. That is the less than or equal to. Let's go to the browser and set the results there. So we have this. Any questions so far? So same with the greater than or equal to. Let's look at the next comparison operator. Now I'll put 4 here and I'll say, so will this alert hello or not?
It will not.
It will not. Now, this is, let's check it out. On go to the browser, you'll be surprised that it alerts hello. Now let's discuss why it's like that. Why this anomalous? Why is it behaving like this? Now the reason is because this equal sign is an assignment operator already. Equal sign. You know that whenever you use this equal sign to assign a value to a variable, use this equal sign to do that. I will remove this and show something. Let me comment this out. If I come here and say num equals to 2, and I say alert num, this will alert 2, not 4. Initially num is 4, but at this point I'm changing the value of num to 2. So if I say alert num, this will alert 2, because this equal to will change whatever might be inside num to 2. And that's exactly what is happening here. The equal sign is an assignment operator. That's what you use to assign a value to a variable. Okay. So that's what you use to assign a value to a variable. When you get here and use the equal sign, when you get here and use the equal sign will now change what is inside num from 4 to 6. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This equal sign is an assignment operator. So what it's going to do is it will change the value. Meanwhile, we are not trying to assign. We only want to compare. We only want to check if the value is equal 6. But because the equal to is an assignment operator, it will assign. So JavaScript has given us something to do that. That's the double equal sign. This double equal sign is a comparison operator, not an assignment operator. So if you want to compare, you make use of the double equal sign. So this will check if the value of num is equals 6. So if it's equal 6, it will alert hello. If it's not equal 6, it won't. So let's check it. So in this case, it won't. It won't. So let's assume this is 6. It will. So we have this. Question before we move on. Any question? Okay, let's proceed. So we've looked at the less than, greater than. We want to look at the exactly equal sign. Okay, Omolola Adeshokwe. You're raising up your hand. You can ask your question. Okay.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
All right. Okay. So we've looked at this double equals. Let's go to the next one, which is the exactly equal to this 3 equal sign. Don't worry, there's no 4. There's no 4 equal sign. But we have this 3 equal sign. Now, let's look at something interesting in JavaScript. Now, I told you in was in our last class now, our last two classes, that this is a number, right? Why this is a string? Can you remember? We did something like this. Anything in code is a string. Now, this is a string, why this is a number? But this double equal to, we see them as the same. So if I say num equals 6, it will still tell you that they are the same and it will still alert hello. Even though this is a string, why this is a number, it will still tell them that they are it will still tell you that they are the same. That's because the double equal to only checks for the value and not for the data type. It only checks for value, not data type. So the value here is 6, the value here is also 6, although they are different data types. This will still tell you that they are the same and it will alert hello. It will alert hello. So sometimes you may want to check, or you may want to compare, check that the two of them are both the same in value and the same in data type. So in that case, you make use of the triple equal sign. So this we check. Before this can be true, they must be the same both in value and in data type. So in this case, this will not alert hello. Although they are the same in value, they are different in data type. So I'll get to the browser, is not going to do that for us. Or if I change this now to number 6, it will alert hello since they are the same both in value and in data types. Here it is. Any question on that? Okay, let's move on. So we've looked at this comparison operator in JavaScript. Now there is something I want to bring up next, which is the else. The else. The way our code works now is that if this condition is true, it will do something. But if this condition is not true, it's not going to do anything. So, but meanwhile, in programming, or while you are doing some task or trying to provide solution to some problems, you may want a situation whereby if the condition is true, you want to do something. If the condition is not so, you want to do another thing. I come again. If the condition is true, you want to do something. Meanwhile, if the condition is not so, you want to do another thing. That is where the else comes in. So I can have the else here. So if this condition is not so, it will do whatever you have in the else. I'll just come here and put, let's say 4 here, and say if it's greater. So since this condition is not so, 4 is not greater than 6. So if you come and do whatever you have in the else. Let's say high. So in this case, it will alert high. Have this high. But if the condition were to be true, I'll change this to 6. It will do the hello. Oh, what's going on? Save. Let's go to the browser. Oh, I didn't close the dialog box. Oh. Why am I having li again? Num is greater than, oh, 6 is not greater than 6. Sorry. 6 is not greater than 6. So yeah, this is 7. 7 is greater than 6 now. Okay. Refresh. Okay, good. Question before we move on. So that is how the if else works. Now you might ask that, do we only check for number here? Do we only compare numbers? No, you can also compare string. Let's do that together. So I can say, let name equals to Taye. So here I can now say if name equals to Kenny, alert hello, else alert hi. So name here is Taye. Is this condition true? No, because it's not true, it will alert high. Have this high. But if the name were to be true, if this were to be Taye, it will alert hello. So we have this here. Now the case is important, meaning that this will be false. It will tell you that these two are not the same. This has uppercase while this has lowercase, so it's not going to see them as the same thing. So if you come here and do the high part, because they are not the same. Hi. So let's play with this a bit. I'll come here and create an input. Let's say that. Enter your name. And put a button there. Okay, so when I click on this button, maybe login. So then I can put a div here. So when I click on this button, I will check if the name here is Taye Abidakun. If the name here is Taye Abidakun, then it will say welcome Taye Abidakun. But if the name is not Taye Abidakun, it will tell me you are not allowed to log in or to visit this page or something. So let's get a function. Function, what will login? First thing is I need to get whatever the user types here. So I'll give this an ID. I can call it IMP. So I can get it here. Let's, of course, you need to put this here and click. So when you click on this button, it will call on this function and one of the codes there. Function. Again like this. So first is let's get whatever is here. Let's username equals to imp.value. So I've gotten that. Next is I want to check if it's Taye Abidakun. So I can say if the value of username, if it's the same as Taye Abidakun, then I want to put welcome Taye Abidakun here. So I can give this an ID. So I can call it display. So this becomes display dot inner text equals to welcome. We've done concatenation, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that's what we are doing here. We are concatenating here. Thank you. That's what you are doing here. So welcome plus whatever the user enters here. So in this case, it will be welcome Taye Abidakun. Since before it can get to this place, the username must be Taye Abidakun. So it's going to say welcome Taye Abidakun. Else, if the condition is not so, I want to say you are not allowed there. I'll put that inside this div. So display dot inner text equals to you are not allowed there. Something. So let's submit an about that. So enter your name. Let's enter Tolu. I'll click on this. You are not allowed there. I'll enter Taye Abidakun. Welcome. Oh, I want to put a space between this welcome and Taye Abidakun. So I can just concatenate an empty space here. Please, did you watch the video I sent to the group? About 10 minutes video on concatenation. I sent a video to the group. After the class we had 2 days ago, I sent the recordings of that class and a 10 minutes video, a short video that I recorded some years back on concatenation. Okay, so let's move on. So we are concatenating an empty space. This is an empty space so that there can be space between this welcome and Taye Abidakun. If you like, you can also put it here. But what I want you to notice, if you put the space here, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's because what happens is JavaScript is going to process this and remove all the spaces itself. But because this is within quotes, you know, I told you when I explained string that the way JavaScript sees string is it copies it the way it is, like the exact way it is. So it's going to copy the space with it. And also, if you check that video, I explained there that in JavaScript, you don't just move from a string to a variable. You are not allowed to. If you remove this plus, it will throw back an error. You have an error here. You don't just move from a string to a variable. You need to tie them together. That's why we are using this plus to concatenate them. You can't just move from a string to a variable. So if I want to add this space, you can also do it like this. So it also works. So I'm adding this extra space. After this welcome, I need to add this extra space before this username. It's also fine. Okay. Any questions so far? So I can come here and type Taye Abidakun. So we have this. If I type any other name, let's say to Taye Ojo, this will not work. You are not allowed it. Let's proceed. So, I now want to explain something interesting about if statement. I'll remove all of these things. Now, let's discuss what happens at the background. How does JavaScript process these things? So, let's say I have a variable. I can say let's say variable is for. Here I have num less than 7, and I have alert good even like this. So at the background, what JavaScript is going to do is this. It will ask itself, is num less than 7? So I'm asking us now, is num less than 7? Is that true or false?
It's true.
Good, it's true. Thank you. Now, so at the background, JavaScript will convert this statement, whatever I have here like this, it will convert it to this. What I'm saying is this is what happens at the background. So not that you're going to see it on the screen, but how it processes this thing. So it will come here and say, since num is less than 7, it's going to put 2 here. Then let's copy the rest. So because this is 2, then it will do whatever you have inside these curly braces. But let's assume this is greater than 7. This is false. So it will come here and put false here. And because this is false, it's not going to do whatever you have inside these curly braces. Let's discuss the significance of putting 2 or false here. I'll remove all of this for now, and I'll say if 2 alerts welcome. If 2 alerts welcome. On getting to the browser, you are going to see welcome. You have this. Now, if I come here and say if false alert welcome, on get to the browser, you will not see welcome. You won't. So what JavaScript is actually interested in is whether you have 2 here or you have false. In fact, everything we've been doing so far, let's num equals to 4, that we did something like this, and we came here to do something like this. If num is less than 7, all of this doesn't matter much to JavaScript. All JavaScript is interested in is either 2 or false. So if you convert whatever you have here, it can be longer than this. As we move on, you understand what I mean. It can be longer than this. All JavaScript is just interested in is either true or false. So whatever you have here, it will end up converting it to either of these two. If it eventually converts it to true, then that means it's going to run the code here. If it eventually converts it to false, that means it is not going to run the codes you have there. If it converts to true, then it means it will run the code. If it converts it to false, it's not going to. So let's assume you have else. So if it converts to true, it will do whatever you have here. If it converts to false, it will do whatever you have in the else part. Any question before we proceed? Okay, let's move on. So summary of what I've said is it's either converted to or false. Now let's look at the impact of that on our code. So I can say variable this. Remember we talked about boolean. So I can come here and say if num is equal to alert welcome, else alerts go away. So with this alert welcome or go away,
So I think it should be welcome also.
good, it's alert welcome. Thank you. We have this welcome. Now let's assume this is false. With this alert welcome or go away,
Alert go away.
good, it's alert go away. Alerts. Thank you. Now I will now come here and do something interesting here. Oh, where is the noise coming from? So I'll come here and just put if none. If none. Now in this case, you might be wondering that will it alert welcome or will it alert go away? So from your home view, do you think it will alert welcome or it will alert go away?
It should alert nothing.
I need to talk about this. You see, when you have if block, since it has else, it must definitely do one of them. That's it. Once you have if block like this and you have else, if it doesn't do this, then definitely, like certainly, it will do this. Except if you don't have else. But once you have else, it will definitely do one of them. Now, in this case, it will alert go away. You know, writing this like this is the same thing as saying if false. Remember we did something like this the other time. Since num is false, it's just the same thing as putting the variable num here by saying if false. Do we understand? Do we get it?
Okay.
So I explained to us that once you have false here, then it will do the else. So by putting if num, without putting any equal sign or anything like this, by just saying if num, is the same as saying if false. So and since this is false, then it will be the else part. I'll remove this now. Now if this were to be true, then what do you think I'll see? What do you think I'll see? Please, are we getting
You say welcome.
Thank you. I'll say welcome. I say welcome. Thank you. How does please are we following me? Only Nosbaker has been answering me. Okay, let's move on. So I'll say welcome. Now there's not something in part of the funny thing in JavaScript. I can now come here and say if 10. Now num is not true or false, but yet this is valid in JavaScript. So the question now is, will it do this or this. This is valid, even though num is not so or is not false, but this is still valid. And the reason it's valid is because JavaScript has a way of converting anything to either true or false. So if it successfully converts that into true, then this is the same as saying if true. And if it successfully converts that value to false, then this is the same thing as saying if false. So the question now is, will it convert num to true or false? That leads us to something called truth and false. So if it converts it to true, we say that thing is truth. If it converts it to false, we say it is false. Now, you don't need to master those things that are truth. Only master those things that are false, because only few things are false. Only few things are false. So, once it's not false, you know that it's definitely truth. So look, these are those things that are false. 0, false, null, undefined, empty string, then NaN, not a number. Don't worry, we still encounter this as we proceed. 0, false, null, undefined, empty string, and NaN. So what if your value is not among the 6? Then you know that it is definitely truth. So is 10 truth or false?
It's truthy.
Good, thank you. So because it is truth, then it's your alert. Welcome. But let's assume this were to be 0, then it's your alert go away. Now let's talk about this empty string. This is false, so it will alert go away. This is truth, it will alert welcome. Note this space. Note this space. This is truth, so it will alert welcome. So let's discuss the significance of this empty space. I will remove this now. And I'll create an input and a button. Give it an ID, you can call it IMP. Okay. Then we have a button. So I'll say call on my phone. So maybe click me. So we got a function called my phone together. Function my phone. So I want to say if the value here, if it's truth, alert I, if it's false, alert hello, something like that. So I can say if what we have here, imp.value. So this means if it is truth. You can first save it as a variable if you want. You can first do this. Let's maybe var equals to imp.value. You can come here and say if var is still the same. Alert hello house alert hi. Now if I don't put anything there and I click on this button, this will be false, so it will alert hi. Let's do that together. So if I click on this, you have hi. But I will just put empty space. Now you can see an empty space there. This is truth, no longer false. And for that reason, it will alert hello. So I'm only showing us the significance of knowing that this is fussy, why this is tsotsi, how it can affect your code. So we looked at those things that are tsotsi and those things that are fussy. Any question? Okay. To wrap up today's class, let's do a little task together based on this knowledge that we've learned about tsotsi and fussy and if statement generally. So we're going to build a switch, a bulb together. Like when you click on the button, you put on a light bulb. When you click on another button, or when you click on the same button, it will go off, just like a switch. The switch we use at home. Click on it, the light will come up. Click on the button, the light will go off. That's what we want to do now. So I'll move this. Okay. First thing is I will download 2 images online. I'll come here and say Bob images on and half. Okay, let's first download one. Okay, we can maybe use this, the one without background. Okay, let me download this into this class. Okay, JS session. Yes, this is the folder we have. So I'll save it inside this place. Then let's download another one. Pop off. Let's pick another one without background too. Okay. So we have the 2 images there. Oh, next thing, let me rename them so that it'll be easy to call them. Desktop. Okay. And then rename this to maybe pop off. I can just say off. Note the extension. The extension is .jpg. Then I can name this on. So let's go to codes now and do that. So the first is I want to display the on right from beginning for anyone. IMG SLC. So I want it to be okay, maybe off.jpg. So to display this image on the screen. Let's check. Okay, we have this image. So let's add a button so that we can click on that button. Oops. So when you click on this button, you want to put it on. So I will call on a function called maybe switch pop. Switch is a keyword, so I can't use switch like this. I can combine it with another word. Switch pop. Oh, I'll click. So when you click on this button, you want to call on a function called switch bob. So let's create the function together. Function switch bob is this. So when you click on this button, you want to change this image to the one that is on. Presently it is off. So when you click on this button, you want to change this to the bulb that is on. So I'll come here, firstly, let's give this an ID. I can call it my image or my bulb. So you can now say my bulb dot, all I need to do is to change this SRC dot SRC. I'll now say let it be on.jpg. Someone wants to join. So when I click on this button, the bulb is on now. So next is once the bulb is on, this text should change to off. So that way if you can click on it again, the bulb can go off. Hope you understand what you are doing. The bulb is currently on. But when you click on this button, we want it to go. I want this text. Since it's already on, there's no point displaying on here. This one should be off so that you can click on it also to turn the bulb off. So what you're going to do is, immediately you click on this button and it changes this image. You want to change this text to off. So we can give this an ID also. We can call it btn. So we say btn dot inner text equals off. So when you click on this button, this is going to call on this function. The image will change to on and the text will change to off. Let's run it. Let's run it together. So click. So good. This is now off. So what next thing is that when you click on this button, you want this image to go back to off and this text to go back to on. So first is this, we need to know whether what we have here is either on or off. First thing is we need to check whether the bulb is on or off. If it is on, then put it off. If it is off, then put it on. If it's off, put it on. If it's on, put it off. So that is where if statement comes in. So first thing, let's check this. We can say if, we can check the text here, btn dot inner text. If it's on, then do all of this thing here. So if it is on, when you click on this button, it's going to call on this function. Check if this is on. If it's on, then it will put this to on and it will change the text to off. Else, do the opposite. Else, change this to off and change this text back to on. So if this is on, then it will switch on the bulb and it will put off here. But if it is off, that is if this is not so, it will do this. It will switch off the bulb and it will change the text back to on. So let's try that together. Let's see if it's working fine. So click, 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 click. Any question? Okay. So let's call it a day here. Tomorrow we continue from this same if statements. There are still some other things we need to learn there. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.